Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar featuring Engineering CAD with Dom and Drew from OnShape. We are excited to have people joining us. I'm going to turn this over to Dom and Drew and let them talk about Engineering CAD.
Great. Thank you, Dan. So let me do my screen share here for you. Cool. Well, my name is Domenico. I'm here with Drew from PTC and OnShape to talk about Engineering CAD. As we go, please feel free to put any questions you've got into that Q&A section in Zoom. We might try to answer them either live or at the end, we'll have a Q&A session to answer any of those. So as you go, feel free to throw some questions in there. Sweet. So the agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about OnShape at the beginning, but then we're going to get right into it. We're going to do an overview of Engineering CAD. We're going to talk about getting started with OnShape. Then we can go into some competitor prep for Engineering CAD, as well as for any of you that might be running an Engineering CAD event. We'll talk about some of the logistics, and then we'll follow up with Q&A. So a little bit about myself. My name's Domenico Damari. My background is mechanical engineering, got a bachelor's and master's from Boston University. On the education team here at OnShape and PTC, I'm a senior education applications engineer, which basically gets to mean that I get to do these kinds of activities. So I engage with a lot of our education OnShape users, students, faculty in university, researchers. I get to help create new projects and resources for educators and students. It's really a lot of fun. I get to engage with a ton of really interesting and unique projects and see what's happening out there in the education space with OnShape and all the great engineering that's going on. I am also a Science Olympiad alumni. My main focus, as you might guess by being a mechanical engineer, was really a lot of the building events. I did do many of the knowledge events as well, but I really enjoyed the building events, and that really helped me find that passion for mechanical engineering through building bridges and towers, right stuff, helicopter, everything like that. Now, with Drew, we've both been national event supervisors for Engineering CAD. I've also mentored teams as well, my former high school and other institutions in the area where I live now. So let me quickly hand it over to Drew to introduce himself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Drew Bennett, and I'm an education solutions engineer here on the PTC education team. So much like Dom, I get to do a wide variety of different things that surround, OnShape in the education space. So my role typically consists of me working with education partnerships. I focus a lot on K through 12 partnerships, hence why I'm here focusing on Science Olympiad, but also other things like BEX and FIRST and PLTW. Also do a lot of technical support for education audience. So there's a chance if you submit support tickets, I'll be the one that answers it. Also do a lot of content and curriculum development. For OnShape specifically, my background, I've got about 3,000 hours of OnShape modeling experience, and I'm a certified OnShape professional. Like Dom just mentioned, I was one of the event supervisors for the National Engineering CAD event last year. That was a great success. I had a lot of fun with that. That was my intro to Science Olympiad, and I really loved it, and I'm really excited to do it again this year. But I've been doing a lot of work with other STEM activities and STEM volunteering for well over 10 years now. So familiar with the game, but was new to Science Olympiad, but quickly fell in love with it once I got to run Engineering CAD last year.
Great. Thanks, Drew. Let's keep going. So real quick, we'll keep this brief, but what is OnShape? OnShape is a parametric computer-aided design tool for 3D modeling. It's really focused on mechanical design, product design. So anytime you're designing a new product, you would really go to CAD, a tool like OnShape to design those products. What makes OnShape really unique is that it's completely cloud native. So you don't have to install anything on your computer as a student. As an educator, you don't have to help students install anything on a computer. They're just able to sign up, get an account online. You go to Chrome or another browser, and you have a fully featured professional CAD tool at your hands. Some other unique things about OnShape is it enables real-time simultaneous collaboration, very similar to what you would be used to with Google Docs, you can do that in OnShape. And that really helps with this event and makes it pretty unique. Because it's cloud-based and because we're doing the computation on our servers, it works on a variety of devices. So students with MacBooks, Chromebooks, you're able to get in and use this fully featured CAD tool. You can also use it on phones or iPads. Don't recommend that for this event in particular, but for engineers and college students that are going into a machine shop and making parts, being able to pull up the CAD model, being able to edit the CAD model on a phone can be a real game changer. A couple other great things about it: you get automatic updates. There's a whole built-in history and versioning system. Those are a little more on the professional side, but we like to mention them as well. So I did mention it's a professional tool. It's used by a ton of different companies. It's the fastest growing professional CAD tool out there. Some names you might recognize would be Garmin. You know, they obviously make smartwatches and things like that. They design many of their products in OnShape, but a lot of other companies have started to switch or use it in their R&D teams within inside of a greater company. And for education specifically, we offer 3 different plans. 2 of them I want to call out here specifically for Science Olympiad. Both of these plans are free. The OnShape student plan is aimed for students. Every student that is part of a K-12 institution or part of a university, they're able to sign up, get a free account. As long as they're over the age of 13 or have parental consent or educator consent for setting up the account, they can go ahead and sign up for free. We also have an educator plan. This is obviously aimed at those of you that might be educators, some mentors as well, but it adds some additional features that can help you manage a class, manage a large group of students. It actually adds things like built-in FEA static and modal simulation, which can be really great. And then if you add students to your class, they get those tools as well. So those are the 2 plans that are free that we recommend for Science Olympiad. We do have a 3rd plan, which I'll just briefly mention. It's an enterprise plan. It's meant for larger institutions or school districts. It does have a small fee associated with it, but it really enables a lot of large bulk student management when you're getting outside of 1 or 2 classes that you're teaching. Cool. We're also excited. OnShape is a partner of Science Olympiad. So we make a CAD tool. It's useful for a lot of the building events out there. If you're doing right stuff or bridges or towers, definitely can be a really cool tool if you're thinking about 3D printing components for a mousetrap vehicle or something like that. Also a super great tool. We actually had a webinar previously about that if you want to check that out. We're also a sponsor of the Engineering CAD event. So OnShape is perfect for the Engineering CAD event. You're able to create drawings. You're able to then create designs from those drawings or vice versa if you're deciding to manufacture something. So it really has all the tools you need for an Engineering CAD event. And let's talk a little bit more about what Engineering CAD actually is. So briefly, the summary is it's a trial event where a team of 2 competitors use OnShape to 3D model 2 to 4 parts and then take those parts and assemble them together. These students are given a defined set of engineering drawings. They're tasked with replicating those drawings, creating those parts, creating that assembly. They're then graded on their accuracy. You know, did they miss any fillets or chamfers or dimensions that the drawing didn't have, or the drawing had? And then the tiebreaker is time. So there is a component to, if you can model quickly and accurately, you're going to do really well in this event. Why do Engineering CAD and why do we think this is important? Computer-aided design tools like OnShape are critical to many engineering disciplines. If your students are thinking of going into colleges or universities to be an engineer, in 99% of cases, they're going to be using a tool like OnShape, or in a lot of cases, OnShape, to make their designs, whether it's for 3D printing, whether laser cutting. If you're bringing things to a CNC mill to make them out of metal or plastic, you're going to need to have a CAD model, and then you're going to need to make a CAD drawing of that model to represent all the different dimensions and tolerances that complex mechanisms have. So this event really aims to help students develop those spatial reasoning skills that are critical to designing things in 3D, critical thinking about what way do they need to actually model the parts, and then obviously design skills. What's really great is this event actually sets students up for our OnShape Associate certification, which is a professional industry recognized certification. So if you have students or you are a student and you're doing a great job in OnShape, then you're probably ready to step up, get that certification, and show universities and show potential employers that you have professional level CAD skills. Cool. Let's quickly do a broad overview of the competitor event flow, just to make sure we're all on the same page before we jump into a little bit more detail. So pretty straightforward. When the event starts, students are going to receive a set of drawings. These will have 2 to 4 parts. Each of those parts is probably going to be a one-page drawing, and then they'll also get a assembly drawing that might be 1 or 2 pages, depending on the complexity of the assembly. And so these drawings are going to have all the dimensions, they're going to have all the component placement in the assembly, and that's going to enable students in teams of 2 to divide up the work. You got multiple parts, multiple students can work at the same time in OnShape, which makes it pretty great. They can both see what they're working on, and then they can get modeling those components. So they start modeling each of the components, and that can take anywhere, depending on the complexity and the skill of the competitor, 10 to 50 minutes. That's a bulk of the time right there is spent modeling those components. Once those components are done, you're going to want to double check them. I know Drew and myself, first time you give us a drawing, we might miss 1 or 2 of those little dimensions that are hiding or we just accidentally glanced over. Key tip for this event, double check those dimensions, make sure you didn't miss any of those chamfers. Drew will go into this more in detail, but you're going to want to double check those parts and the drawings. Then you've got the components. It's time to assemble them together, and you will submit your test when you think you're done. When you've got those components assembled, that's going to mark that time component when you choose to submit. Once you submit, you're good to go. Basically, after that, exam gets graded, you find out your score, and hopefully you did well. So pretty straightforward, but there's definitely a lot of tips for competitors in here. And then we also have a complete guide that Drew's going to start to go through for the event supervisors that are going to have to run this. There's definitely some steps that make this really easy that we've built out, and Drew is going to cover that. So over to you, Drew.
All right, I guess I will start with what's the best way to actually get started with OnShape. Awesome. Thank you for the confirmation, Dom. All right, so of course, getting started with OnShape, first thing you got to do, you have to have an OnShape account. OnShape is totally free, whether you are an educator, a coach, a parent volunteer, you're a competitor. OnShape is free for you to use. So please go to onshape.com/edu. You'll have to fill out a simple form, and that will get you your OnShape account. Honestly, it takes about 60 seconds to get signed up and receive the activation email. So I'll switch over and we'll actually take a look at that real quick, because we've gotten some questions in the past about how to sign up, if especially if you're homeschooled or working with an outside group, might not always be super clear. So let's do that real quick. So on the onshape.com/edu page, I'll go to create an account, and I'm just going to put in some fake information so that we can go to the sign up page, and we'll do webinar example at ptc.com. Awesome. And submit. So you see, of course, once you reach this page, if you're a student, you're competing, choose that you're a student. If you are coach, mentor, parent, volunteer, event supervisor, choose that you're an educator. And of course, you are working at the K-12 level. So choose that and then click next. Now, this is the only other page of the form. There are a couple gotchas here that might be a little confusing, so I'm going to cover those real quick. If you're using this for Science Olympiad, for the school name, you can just put Science Olympiad. That's perfectly fine. For the classroom name, this is where you're going to want to enter it, that it is relevant to your testing environment, the event that you're going to run. So let's say, you are running this in the state of Colorado. You're going to want to name it Colorado Engineering CAD Event, because that is what students will be able to see when they log into OnShape and they are added to the classroom. This classroom name is what they will need to click on to access the test. The school name is not shown. Department name, you can also just put Science Olympiad, Engineering CAD, doesn't really matter. Position, role, mentor, coach works great. And then you can just simply fill this out with whatever, check all the boxes, and then you're good to go. Now, if you're a student, I'm gonna have to fill that out again real quick. Skip back, and let's do very quick, and we'll do name test at ptc.com, and we will submit. If you're a student, the only gotcha might be that your school website URL, if you're a homeschooled student, you may not have a school URL. Any of the Science Olympiad URLs work. Just put that in there. That just helps us on our end know that you're using this for Science Olympiad. School name could also be Science Olympiad, Engineering CAD, anything like that. So when you're filling this out, if you get confused by those fields, default to just using Science Olympiad based information, and you'll be totally fine to keep going. So that's how you get started with OnShape. The sign up form is very, very simple. Let's go back to the presentation. Great place to start once you have your account is the OnShape Learning Center. So that is learn.onshape.com. Dan, or Dom, if you wouldn't mind dropping that in the chat for everybody, that would be fantastic. So at learn.onshape.com, that's the OnShape Learning Center. Those are hundreds of constantly updated and maintained resources by the OnShape team that has everything from zero to hero. You are brand new to CAD, don't know what you're doing. We have a bunch of different resources that will walk you through the very basics, like the new to CAD option here. If you have previous CAD experience, or you think you know what you're doing a little bit, you can do new to OnShape, and this will teach you all the ins and outs of OnShape specifically. And then, of course, beyond that, there is the self-paced learning section that has everything from how to make basic sketches to how to do advanced part design. If you're able to go through a bunch of those courses, that will set you up with all of the skills that you need to succeed in engineering CAD. Because not only is it about how can you model the parts, it's how quickly too, because time is a key component. At the national event last year, time was the ultimate tiebreaker because there were multiple groups that were able to perfectly model the parts in the assemblies, but their time to completion, showing their skill level once beyond just being able to do it, that is what was the tiebreaker. So pretty interesting in that regard. But the OnShape Learning Center is easily the best place to go if you need to learn how to CAD and you want to learn all the ins and outs of how to do it quickly. And I've already covered some of this, but again, just to go a little bit deeper, recommended learning resources. CAD Basics is a great learning pathway to establish the basics. It has 5 different courses in it. It's going to do what even is CAD, how to do basic sketching, parts, assemblies, and then drawings. You're not going to need to create drawings for this, but definitely need to know how to read drawings. So that's an important skill. Then OnShape Fundamentals is a little bit bigger, but it teaches you more about OnShape, a little bit more in depth, how to do the sharing and the collaboration, which is important when you're going to be working with your teammate to try and, as quickly as possible, finish these parts and assemblies. So at a bare minimum, if you're going to be competing in this, highly recommend using the CAD Basics and the OnShape Fundamentals pathway to get your skills up to that level. So that's highly recommended, would definitely use those. All right. So that was the beginning of competitor prep, talking about the learning center. So on this slide, I will say everything that comes after this is definitely ways to prepare, but a very important one is using the OnShape Learning Center. So let's keep going. There is a student guide that we've created for this event. This one's pretty short. I believe it's only 6 or 7 pages. So, this is very easy to read through and get some tips and tricks and get yourself pointed in the right direction. So simple walkthrough. It does contain a lot of tips, tricks, best practices. And what's nice is it does set very clear expectations for what you will need to do as a student. So it literally walks you through with pictures what buttons you need to make sure that you click to start the exam, share the exam with your partner, and then submit it at the end so you know that it's going to be graded. If you follow the steps in the student guide, you will succeed at the event. You're not going to get caught by any of the technical, snafus that may happen if you don't follow the instructions. Instructions are pretty easy, but this does make it very clear. I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now to the student guide. If you need access to this at a later time, you're going to see this email like 100 times throughout the rest of the webinar. It's going to be drilled into your brain. Please email us at competitions@ptc.com. This is the current email inbox we've got set up to, receive Science Olympiad based questions. So if you need this shared with you or you want a link to it, you can email us there. I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. That went to the host and panelists, not to everybody. So let me try that again real quick. There we go. Everybody should be able to see that now. Awesome. So student guide, great starter resource. Everybody should read through it. There's also practice model sets, and this is going to be key to actually developing these skills of becoming really familiar with the event. So when you show up on the actual competition day, you're at your state tournament, you're not going to be caught blindsided by, the steps that you need to go through and what the ultimate goal of the event is. So as a team, Dom and I and other members of the education team have been building up a library of these practice models that you are able to use. It comes with the full set of both the answer key and the submission document, as well as all the drawings and part studios and assemblies that you're going to need. Everything is there, able to run it very easily. And actually, there are multiple of these models that were previously used as engineering CAD event models. So for example, the one in the bottom right corner, that was actually the model that was used at the national tournament last year. Of course, everybody that competed there is familiar with it now. We can't reuse it, but it does make a great practice example. So if you want to get familiar with that, you guessed it, you can email us at competitions@ptc with your OnShape account, and we can share with you a folder, and you will be able to make your own copies of these answer key and submission documents. And then you'll be able to run through the test yourself and get familiar and practice these skills. So it's another key thing for competitors to know. You can actually get, very realistic testing models to practice your skills on. Another great way to practice is with the CAD Challenges application. So CAD Challenges is an app that is also made by the PTC education team here at OnShape. And what it does is it offers part and multi-part and assembly modeling challenges with automatic grading. So what you're going to do is when you use the app, it's going to create an OnShape document for you from a blank one. And you're actually going to be tasked with modeling a part from a drawing, very similar to Engineering CAD, but it's just usually going to be a single part or maybe 2 parts total. But what's nice about it is it does have automatic grading. So once you set the material of your part, it is going to tell you whether you modeled it correctly because the weight of the answer and yours they match, or if they don't match, it'll let you know. And what I also really like about it is, let's say you get really stuck, you've modeled it, you can't get it to match, you're really not sure why, you can actually have the correct part overlay onto your own part, and then you can compare the two to figure out, okay, did I set this dimension wrong? Did I make my part a little bit too long? Did I miss a fillet somewhere like Dom mentioned? Am I missing a hole? It makes it pretty clear when you're able to directly compare your part versus the actual answer key. A great way to develop these skills and have instant feedback of, did you do it right or did you do it wrong? So highly recommend checking out CAD Challenges. It is a free application that you can access in the OnShape App Store. So if you're familiar with OnShape, up in the top right corner near the share button, there's the OnShape App Store. You can search for CAD Challenges. I find searching just the word challenges pops up every time. You can add this to your account for free and do some practice. So that is definitely key for student competitors. If you do all these things, you'll be in really good shape, of course, beyond just practicing on your own time. And now for the fun stuff. This is where the live demo is going to get difficult, and we're going to see if I can do it all correctly. So how are you as an event supervisor expected to run an engineering CAD event, and what resources do you have to refer back to? Let's take a look at that. So as you would have guessed, there is an event supervisor guide. This one is a lot longer than the student guide. This is sitting around the 20-ish page mark, but that is due to the level of detail that describes, every step of the process, plus how you can customize it for your own events if you so choose. So highly detailed. I'm going to drop a link to this into the chat as well right now. Unless Dom already, nope, okay. Dom did not, so let me drop it right there. So that is the Event Supervisors Guide. And what's nice about it too is it's actually organized into before event and end of event tasks. So everything that is green, you're going to want to do before the event. Everything that is red, you're going to do during the event, aka, distribute the starting documents and the drawing packages. And then it's also going to walk you through the grading process and how to delete the student data once the review period has ended, things like that. So once you get familiar with it, it is a pretty easy walkthrough of the entire event with a lot of detail there. As you would expect, if you need this at a later date, please email us at competitions@ptc.com. We'll be happy to share it with you. Dom and I are also working with Dan. We're looking to get all of these different links and resources onto one of the official Science Olympiad pages. So you can email us, or once we get those pages updated, you'll be able to find them on the Science Olympiad resources guide. So looking forward to that. Thanks for Dan's help with, helping us get all these different things organized for our trial event. All right, so now we're going to start with the pre-event setup, and I'll do an actual live demo of this. So if you follow along, we should be in good shape. So before the event, what do you need to do? You're going to need to create an OnShape account that is on the educator plan. So I actually live demoed that a little bit earlier. So of course, as an event supervisor, you need to be on the educator plan so that you have classes and assignments functionality. That is the way that you are going to provide copies of the submission document. That's what we're calling, what the students are working on and will be sending to you for grading. And then you also need that because that will allow you to run the automated grading application at the end of the event. So you need to make sure you're on the educator plan with the name of your educator plan, something clear that the students know is for the event. You're then going to need to select your answer key / submission document and copy it. So of course, we have a bunch of practice examples right now. We are working also on building up a library of actual event ready documents that will be only available to event supervisors. So, you'll have to be verified that you're an event supervisor. You're looking to run an event, at a specific weekend, an invitational, and you want a model set provided by us at OnShape. We will have that for you. We'll probably have a lower number this year. We're still a trial event. In the future, we're definitely going to have more of that. So we'll have one for every possible week that the competition exists. That will not be an issue. But you'll be able to get that. And then if you want to make your own testing document, you can certainly do that. With the caveat, would only recommend this if you are very familiar with OnShape. It can be a little bit tricky to make sure you get everything right. However, if you are familiar with OnShape, it's a breeze. So if you're confident, go ahead and make your own. If you're not confident, reach out to us. We're more than happy to provide one. You're going to need to collect the students' emails and add them to an OnShape class. And we're saying make an OnShape class, which is different than a classroom. And I'll show that in a little bit. Do one of those for each event session. If, since it's a trial event, if you're only running one session, because that captures all the students that are needed, then you've got it pretty easy. Where, Dom and I at the national event, we will probably be running at least 4 different sessions. So we have to make that many different classes to group the students up. You're going to stage your assignment as you're going to stage the assignment using the submission document. So you're going to get that ready to go, but you're not going to publish it because we don't want them to access it early, but we're going to have it set up so it's just one click to start the event. And then, of course, you're going to actually print out the drawing packets, one per pair of students. We do leave the option, and we're still, this is a trial event, so this is something we're working on figuring out. We're leaving the option that the PDFs can be in the assignment that you send out. So students will have the drawings actually on the screen. However, it does get a little confusing to flip back and forth between the drawing and the actual modeling environment. So we're also going to try out encouraging event supervisors to print out the packets and remove the PDFs from the actual submission document so that, students have to be in the room looking at the physical drawings to know what to model in OnShape. So that's our recommendation for this year. That's what we're trying out, but we're going to be very open to feedback on that. So definitely let us know your thoughts and opinions. All right, so let's demo that. I'm going to hop into OnShape, but again, so of course, this was the sign up page. Let's actually, I'm going to sign in. I have a clean new educator account. So pretend that, this is you and you've just signed up for the educator account. How are you going to set it up for your event that you're running in a couple days? So let me log in as my educator demo. really thinking about it. Cool. So of course, I have nothing here because I've not created anything in this new classroom. And this is for the, let's say, Massachusetts Engineering CAD. That's your PTC's base. So I'm with Massachusetts. So students will be able to see this, and they will also see that. So this is where they're going to need to click to actually begin the event. They'll go there, then they will see an assignment that will pop up there. So first step, need to choose what I'm actually going to use for my test. So if you're going to be using one provided by us, once you are shared into the folder, you'll see in shared with me, not the cool robots, but you'll see, it's going to be something like the practice test folder. So I can go in there, I can look at them and be like, okay, I'm feeling like I want to use the microphone stand for my event this weekend. What you're going to do is you will right click and you will copy it, and you'll copy it into the classroom. So open and copy there. And then I will also do that with the answer key document. You need to make sure that you do both, and also make sure that the one you actually give to the students is the submission document and not the answer key. Otherwise, not quite going to work. So I'll make sure that I copy both the answer key and the student submission document. Once that's done, cool. I can go back to my classroom and I'll see, all right, I've got those two documents. That's great. Now it's time to set up the actual classes where these students will be, so that they can access this and actually run the event. So from here, I'll go to create and create class. And I'll name this session 1. I will go 10 to 1050. Cool. Class description, don't need it, and I'll create it. All right. So of course, from here, you need to create the assignment. This is what the students are actually going to click on to start and then submit at the end of the event. And then you also need to make sure this is also where you're going to add these students as members. So everybody that is going to be participating in the first session, you can add as members. So this is pretty simple. If you have a spreadsheet of their emails, you can actually do a manage via CSV. You can download our template, copy and paste in their emails, and then just upload that CSV, and it'll automatically drop all the students into this list. You can also add them one at a time. So if I want to add Dom, I'll do that. Excellent. There, Dom is a student. So, that's basically the process. You're just gonna add in all the different students. Once they're in there, you're good to go. Also make sure that it says student. To actually set up the assignment, you're going to create your assignment, and you will name it Engineering CAD, event test, or whatever you think is the best verbiage for that. And then once you're good, you can click create. So what you're going to need to do from here is you're going to have students begin with a copy of a selected document, and you will select the submission document. And then this is key. You will click publish class. So students will be notified that they have been added to an event session class, and then you need to click apply. Do not click publish assignment. If you click publish assignment, they will have access to it immediately. If you click apply, this will save it as a draft. As you can see up here, it is a draft. So all you will need to do on the event day is click publish assignment. But with it in the draft state, you're more than okay to just leave it, and it'll be super quick to start the event once you're actually ready to go. So that's that. The test is now set up. When I go back to my class, I can see there it is. That's fantastic. And what else did I need to do to set up my event? Let's take a look. I have selected my answer key. I got the emails. I got my assignment staged. Got to print out the drawing packets. We'll pretend that this nice stack of paper here, I've got all my drawings already printed out, ready to hand out to each of the students. We're going to hand it out as they check into the event and just tell them to keep it face down on their desk until I indicate that the event has started. So as you can see, that is all the pre-event setup. It's really not that difficult. And once you get into the swing of it, it's, just a couple minutes to set this all up, especially if you're just going to be using provided tests and, answer key submission documents. So that's the pre-event setup. How are you actually going to start the event session? So like I said, you're going to hand out the drawing packets, instruct the students to keep them face down until the event starts. And then when everybody's in the room, everybody's checked in, you're ready to start the testing period. You can publish the testing assignment, and then you wait. There's really not a whole lot to it. As soon as you publish the assignment, students will be able to start the assignment, share it with their partner, model, and then submit to you. There's really nothing you need to do in the meantime. You can help with basic troubleshooting, like if they're having trouble connected to the internet or they need help plugging in their charger or something like that. That was essentially all Dom and I did when we were running the event last year at the Nationals. We basically just ensured that everybody's connected to the internet and everybody was ready to go. But yeah, once you publish the assignment, you essentially just wait until the event timing period is over and then collect the drawings at the end. So it's very simple, but I'll demo that anyways. So when you're ready to start your session, you will click. So I'll actually go back. So if you are here, you will click on classes. You will open up the session that you're ready to start. And then you will click on the assignment and click publish. And as you can see, if there were more students here, it would show all the students there and just going to immediately say not started. As students click the start assignment button, this will change to in progress. When they submit, it will show the status as submitted. So very simple to keep track of everything. All the documents are going to be linked right here as they begin their modeling, and then you're good to go. All you need to do is wait. So that's starting it. So again, as soon as you click publish assignment, that's the start of the event. Can't really take it back. Everybody's going to get going. So that's how you actually begin an event session for Engineering CAD. Now, how are you going to end the event session? So when you're ready to end it and you're ready to grade, you're going to, first of all, make sure that you have the CAD Checker app installed, added to your OnShape account. You're going to use CAD Checker to automatically grade all of the student submissions for the class. And then you're going to download the report that CAD Checker generates as a CSV, or if you want to copy the values into a ranking spreadsheet. And then to end it, you can archive the class and remove the students from the OnShape classroom. This one is best to do after the review period is over. Once the results are finalized and everybody is happy with the results, you can remove students from the classroom. Well, actually, it's probably best to just archive it, and then after that, you're able to delete everything. So how are you going to end the event session? I'm actually going to log out of here because I don't really have anything to grade. Of course, Dom hasn't had time to do the assignment, but I do have another account that does have completed assignments. So this is the actual Science Olympiad Nationals submissions from last year. As you can see, classes, we've got all those sessions that previously ran. So the way that you're going to, grade the assignment is you will go find the answer key document. So once you open up the answer key, I skipped a step. Once you open up the answer key, you're going to need to make sure that you have the CAD Checker app ready to go. If you do not have the CAD Checker app, which is just this little icon on the right side of your screen, you can access it by going to the App Store in the top menu. So I'll open that up and you can search for Checker, CAD Checker right there, and you'll scroll down. And of course, I already have it on my account, but you will just click subscribe for free. There's going to be a couple, just confirmation boxes for there, but click through that. And then once you've confirmed, refresh the page and you will see CAD Checker on the side of your screen right here. So super quick and easy to add it to your account. You can do it beforehand, but it's so quick to add to your account that you can also just do it at the end of the event. And of course, you only need to do it once. If you're using the same educator plan over and over again, it does stay with your account. So when you're ready to grade, you'll click on CAD Checker. Once that opens up, you are going to use the compare models from list. Actually, there is a grade for Science Olympiad competitions option here. So I'll open that up. And of course, I'm in the answer key because CAD Checker is going to know that it is comparing against this model and this document of models. So of course, you could copy and paste in the URLs. That's rather slow. What you can do instead is click on this use classes and assignments. So when you click on that, you will see that all the different sessions, of course, this is more than the ones we actually use. But if I wanted to grade, let's say I want to grade session 4, I can click on that. I will click on the test. And it is going to automatically pull in all. So I guess this session only had 5 pairs of students competing. So it's going to pull in all their models with a thumbnail example. And then when you're ready to go, you can click grade models. Now what's important, and this is highlighted really heavily in the student documentation, is this does currently only grade submitted assignments. If student competitors go through the event, but they don't actually click submit at the end, the auto grader will not recognize it as something that can be graded. So definitely make sure it does not hurt during the event to, just tell students to make sure that they are submitting their work when they are done. So as you can see, as I've been talking, it's just automatically grading everything for me. So you can see it's going to grade the answer key at the top, and it's going to tell you, the mass and then the actual center of gravity for the assembly, how many points they're worth. They're all 20 points. That's just the way the rules are written. And then it is going to do, the actual equation that is written in the rules. It's going to run all that math for you and spit out a score as well as the total time. So clearly somebody logged in and messed with this one way after the fact, because 138 days, way longer than the event period. But you can see, this pair of students took 46 minutes and they got a 96.29. So of course, the grading is very simple. Once everything's been submitted, you automatically get a readout of both the time and the score down to 2 decimal places. So, this makes it super easy to understand what is going on. And then once you're ready to actually download that, you can click download report, and it will give you a CSV export of all this information in a spreadsheet, which you can then reformat and copy into any grading spreadsheets provided by Science Olympiad. So the automatic grader kind of makes this end of event process a breeze, because you're just going to run this and let it go for all of your different sessions. So it doesn't really take that long either, but that is the grading process and how you're going to end an event. And then once you're actually done with everything, you can go to the class and you can archive it, and you'll see that this is going to make it view only, so edits can no longer be made. Students will be removed from the class, which is what you want, but they will not, nothing will be deleted. So this is a great way to do it. Archive the class once you're done, remove the students and their access, but don't actually delete anything in case you need to go back and do any manual checks. So that's the process. It seems a little complicated, but once you get used to it, it's very quick and easy to get going. Again, the hardest part is really just choosing your testing model, especially if you're going to create your own for the event. So with that, are there any questions for Dom or I about the event or the run of show that we have?
Great, Drew. That was a great demo. We've got a couple questions. I'll start asking a couple, but for anybody else that has a question, make sure you're putting it into that question and answer box in Zoom. So one good question I think that we didn't quite clarify enough, Drew, was how do the students get assigned together as a team? So I think they're probably alluding to what's that step where they actually, need to be working together, and how does that work?
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to trying to think what is going to be the best way to show this. I don't think if I'm a student in any of these classes, but essentially, so of course, students are going to enter the event as a duo from the same school. And what's going to happen is, Dom, do you have the ability, are you a student in any classes that you can start an assignment? I don't know. They might have got us. But I'll do my best to demo this anyways. So if you are in a class, yeah, I just really don't. I'm thinking.
At the end of the day, I think the important bit here is it's all covered in the documentation. The students just need to share the document. So one student's going to be assigned the assignment, and they're going to start the assignment, and then they're going to share that assignment with the other student. That's the basic process.
Yes.
And sharing is really straightforward in OnShape.
Yeah. I just got a random model here, but so essentially what's going to happen is, one of the two students is going to go into the class and they're going to click on the assignment, and they're going to see a blue start assignment button. Once they do that, they'll be, it's going to create a copy of the testing assignment for them. And then they will need to click the share and share it with their partner. So type in the email so that their partner has access and make sure they have edit permissions. If both students start the document, they will have two separate submissions, and they will not actually be collaborating on the same document. So the way to ensure that you are actually working on the same test is one student starts it and then shares it with the other. Once they hop in, they'll see their actual name icon, just like Google Drive or Google Docs, how you can see other people in your OnShape document. You'll see that they're in there, and then you'll be able to collaborate, work at the same time, put the assemblies together. So That is spelled out heavily in the student guide with the buttons as well, and some better pictures. And probably also the type of thing that, I think that might be a good resource for us to create an actual little video walkthrough of that process too. So we'll have more resources on that as well, but good question. Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Another question was, do you verify that each group has submitted, or are they on their own to be sure that they submitted? I think that one's pretty easy to answer. From that assignment view, you're able to see all the started assignments and whether or not they've submitted. So it's easy for you as the event supervisor to see that class and see, oh, this group still hasn't submitted. You're going to want to make sure to remind them before they walk out the door.
Yes, exactly. So you can see when I'm at the classes window, if I click on a session, so let's say I click on session 3, I can see that, there were 20 potential accounts in this one, 10 not started, which means they didn't even begin it, but 10 are submitted. I don't see any in progress. That's great. That's what I want to see. Now, I believe maybe it's session 1. You can see 14 not started, 1 in progress, 15 submitted. So that means that there is a group that did not submit. So at that point, you'd want to, let them know. And you can also, as you can see here, when you click on the assignment, when you scroll down, you can see these are all submitted, but scrolling down, you will actually see that there is one that is in progress somewhere in the list. But, it does make it really easy to track back from the status to the user that is in progress. So recommend looking at that.
True. Another great question here is, I teach CAD in high school. Grading's cumbersome. Can the CAD checker be used in the classroom in addition to Science Olympiad? And if so, are there tutorials?
Actually, yes, it can. Are there tutorials? That's a great question. I can give you a tutorial right now. How about that? It's really simple. Let's take a look. Let me open up the answer key. So what you can do as an educator in the classroom is you can use it essentially the same way that we're doing for Science Olympiad. So let me share my screen again. So I'll open this up. So CAD checker, once you open it up, so you can do self-checks. So if, as a student, or, you can also encourage your students to use it this way. You can compare model properties. So you can, compare this to a reference document. So if you are working on your own, but you have access, or the URL for the answer key, the thing you're comparing to, you can just plug it in there and click grade model and it'll do it for you. As an educator, you can also use it grade using classes and assignments. So if you were using the classes and assignments functionality in your classrooms, you can go ahead and just grade against your own answer key. So yes, the same way the main difference between grading for Science Olympiad competitions and grading for using classes and assignments, this is just running the equations for scoring in the background. That's all it's doing. So grading using classes and assignments is just going to compare things like the principal moment of inertia, center of gravity, and the mass, and it'll tell you the percent difference that you're off. So yes, you can use this for comparison. It's not going to give you a grade necessarily. It's not going to say they're 96% correct, because of course grading is a little bit arbitrary, but yes, you can do this for checks and it'll tell you how far off you are.
Great. Another question, is there also a written test component this year? That one's easy to answer. No, just going to be CAD.
And that was from feedback from event supervisors. Of course, there was a written component last year for the 2024 event. And the feedback was, we do not want a written component. So now there is no written component, and we're going to try it as just pure CAD. So this is just a test of your students' ability to read the drawings, model efficiently, accurately, and as quickly as possible.
Cool. One more question here for you. Is there a timer that automatically stops teams at the same time, or is that something event supervisors need to do manually?
Currently, that is something event supervisors need to do manually. Yep. There is no auto end to the event. What you can do is, you will be able to see if students do go over the allotted time. So definitely encourage them all to submit, because it is going to tell you if they went over the allotted 50-minute period. Yep.
Perfect. Dan, any other questions?
It looks like there are a couple questions on here that I should probably answer. One of them says, will this event replace Write It, Do It or Write It, CAD It? Um, Write It, CAD It was basically our way to do Write It, Do It virtually. Um, and it was a great fill-in for that while we were doing it, but I don't think it had practical applications, and that was kind of the genesis of this event. We talked to the guys here at OnShape, and we wanted to get a more realistic, more application-based approach to CADing, and this is the event that we came up with. If Engineering CAD does come in, it would probably replace Write It, Do It in the rotation, and then probably get onto a 2-year on, 2-year off rotation with Write It, Do It. So that's the plan. That's what we're in discussions with. And then another question that I had that I should probably answer is, are there any other events like this coming up? We're trying to get this one in, but if you have other ideas, feel free to let us know. If you have a thought on what we can do and how we can expand this or improve it, please reach out to any of us. Shoot me an email. I think, what was that email that you kept spouting? The competitions at,
Competitions at ptc.com.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could probably send an email there and they would get the info back
Yep.
to me. Um, so so there we go.
Awesome.
Rule clarification to remove the test portion. I will have to look and see. I will check that. So, all right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. So thank you everyone for attending. We will, in the next day or two, be sharing out the recording of the video. So I just want to thank Dom and Drew for all their hard work on the event and for taking their time to talk about the event tonight and share their knowledge. And as always, please check out the trial event page at soinc.org. And we'll be putting the resources and the links that we talked about tonight in the video. We'll be getting those up on the trial event page under the engineering CAD rules. So thank you. Don't forget to sign up for tomorrow's webinar on engineering careers. That will be a good one to talk to the Dr. Weaver from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. Thanks everyone, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks for having us.
Good.
Have a good night.